Look, most riders don't quit because they want to. They quit because their body forces them out, or their bank account cannot handle the consequences anymore. That is the truth nobody wants to hear, but it is the math that matters. You have two choices: adapt how you ride, what you ride, and how you think about riding, or accept that your days on two wheels are numbered. There is no middle ground here. I am breaking down 15 specific changes that separate riders who keep going for decades from those who hang up the keys before they are ready. These are not suggestions. They are the difference between riding into your 70s and selling your bike at 55. Your 25-year-old reflexes are gone. The ego that pretends otherwise is the single biggest threat to your longevity on a motorcycle. Here is what changes. Fast no longer means aggressive. It no longer means testing limits or proving anything to anyone. Fast now means smooth, predictable, and appropriate for the conditions and your current capabilities, not your remembered capabilities from 2 decades ago. Mid-range torque beats peak horsepower when your body cannot handle the constant physical demand of high RPM riding. A bike that delivers strong, usable power from 3,000 to 7,000 RPM serves you better than something that only comes alive at 10,000 RPM and requires you to wrestle it through every corner. The psychological shift matters more than the mechanical one. Riding within margins instead of at the edge means you actually enjoy the ride. You notice the scenery, you feel the road surface, you arrive energized instead of exhausted. That is not compromise, that is intelligence. Studies show reaction time drops measurably after 50. Those milliseconds you lose are the difference between avoiding a crash and becoming a statistic in someone else's insurance claim. You can't stop this decline, but you can compensate for it. Increase your following distance by 20%. If your reaction time is 20% slower, your safety margin must be 20% larger. The math is simple. Reduce night riding. Your vision isn't what it was, and darkness compounds reaction time problems. Avoid high traffic situations where you're constantly processing multiple threats. Rush hour isn't a challenge to conquer, it's a risk to avoid. The question isn't whether your reflexes have slowed, they have. The question is whether you're honest enough to adjust your riding accordingly. Before every ride, do an honest assessment of your physical and mental state. Pain, fatigue, medication effects, hydration. These are not minor details anymore. If you are stiff, sore, or distracted, that is not toughing it out. That is setting you up for disaster. Your body does not bounce back like it used to, and pushing through discomfort leads to mistakes that compound into crashes. Ask yourself this before swinging a leg over. Am I physically and mentally at 100% right now? If the answer is anything other than yes, do not ride. Reschedule the trip. Skip the group ride. Your ego can handle the disappointment better than your body can handle the consequences of riding compromised. Physical reality demands mental honesty, and it also demands practical preparation for every single ride. Dehydration slows reaction time and clouds judgment. Treat water intake like checking tire pressure, non-negotiable before and during every ride. For long rides, bring fuel. Pack protein bars and electrolyte drinks. Stop every 90 minutes whether you think you need to or not, because your body's thirst signals weaken with age, and you cannot rely on feeling thirsty. If you ignore this, a 200-mile ride on empty turns into a dangerous slog, where small mistakes compound into big problems. Your focus deteriorates, your physical inputs get sloppy, you start making decisions based on getting home fast instead of getting home safe. Advanced riding courses aren't for beginners. They're for riders who need to adapt decades-old muscle memory to a body that doesn't move the same way anymore. Emergency braking changes when your grip strength weakens. Swerving requires different body positioning when your flexibility declines. Low-speed maneuvers demand new techniques when your balance isn't what it used to be. A weekend course costs around $300. Compare that to months of medical bills, lost income, and a totaled bike. The investment isn't about learning to ride, It's about learning to ride with the body you have now, not the one you remember having. Instructors see the gaps in your technique that you've been compensating for without realizing it. They catch the bad habits that worked fine when you were younger, but create risk now. You walk away with specific adaptations that extend your riding life by years, maybe decades. The riders who skip this step are the ones who convince themselves they don't need it. That's ego talking, and ego gets people hurt. Group dynamics pressure you to ride beyond your comfort zone. The moment you are in a pack, ego takes over and judgment vanishes. You start making decisions based on keeping up instead of staying safe. The pace of the group becomes your pace, regardless of your actual capability. Someone pushes a little harder through a corner, and suddenly everyone is pushing harder. That escalation happens so gradually, you do not notice it until you are riding at a level that exceeds your current skill or comfort. Ride solo or with one trusted partner who respects your limits and will not push you into stupid decisions. Choose someone who is fine stopping when you need to stop, slowing down when conditions demand it, and calling off a ride when the weather turns. The worst part about group rides is they normalize risk-taking behavior. What feels reckless when you are alone feels acceptable when 5 other riders are doing it. That social proof overrides your better judgment, and that is how experienced riders end up in crashes they never would have risked on their own. Once your head is right and your skills are sharp, the gear becomes your insurance policy against the consequences of the mistakes you will inevitably make. Your bones are more brittle now. Your skin heals slower. Recovery from injuries takes months instead of days. That is not pessimism. That is biology. Premium helmets with emergency quick-release systems, jackets with integrated armor at shoulders, elbows, and back, boots with genuine ankle support, these are no longer luxuries. They are the difference between walking away from a crash and spending 6 months in physical therapy. The financial reality, $2,000 in quality gear versus $50,000 in medical bills and lost income. That is not an exaggeration. One crash at your age creates a financial cascade that impacts your retirement savings, your insurance premiums, and your ability to work. High visibility elements are non-negotiable. Reflective strips, bright colors, LED, accent lighting, anything that makes you more visible to drivers who are not looking for motorcycles. Being seen prevents crashes that even the best gear can only mitigate. Cheap gear fails when you need it most. The stitching rips, the armor shifts out of position, the materials abrade through in seconds. You get what you pay for, and at this stage of life you cannot afford to pay twice. Your night vision is shot. Accept it and compensate with the best lighting technology available. LED or HID headlight upgrades, auxiliary lights for visibility, and anti-fog visors for all conditions are not optional anymore. If you cannot see clearly, you cannot react appropriately, and reaction time is already working against you. Prescription inserts for helmets are essential if you wear glasses. Squinting at 60 miles per hour while trying to read a street sign is a disaster waiting to happen. Your vision needs to be absolutely clear, no compromises, and do not accept anything less. Consider yellow-tinted visors or glasses for low-light conditions. They increase contrast and make hazards more visible in dawn, dusk, or overcast weather. The small investment pays off every time you spot a pothole or debris that would have caught you off guard. The bottom line, if you cannot see the road, the traffic, and the hazards clearly, you should not be riding. Vision is the foundation of every decision you make on a motorcycle. Anti-lock braking systems prevent wheel lockup during panic braking. Studies show motorcycles equipped with anti-lock braking systems have significantly lower crash rates than bikes without them. For older riders whose reflexes are not as sharp, anti-lock braking systems provide a crucial safety margin that can mean the difference between stopping in time and not. Traction control catches rear wheel slip before it becomes a low-side crash. This matters especially in wet conditions, on gravel, or when accelerating through corners. It is an electronic safety net that compensates for momentary lapses in judgment or unexpected road conditions that catch even experienced riders. Cornering, anti-lock braking, and lean angle sensitive traction control represent the cutting edge. These systems understand the bike's lean angle, and they adjust braking and traction intervention accordingly. They protect you even when you are banked over in a turn, situations where traditional systems might not be as effective. These technologies are not crutches. They are insurance against the reality that your body does not respond as quickly as it used to. Bikes like the BMW R1250 GS, Ducati Multistrada, and Honda NT 1100 come loaded with these features as standard equipment. Every unnecessary modification adds weight, complexity, or distraction. Chrome accessories, aftermarket exhausts that add no performance value, and gadgets that look impressive but serve no practical purpose do not make you safer. Modifications must serve utility. Better lighting improves visibility. Comfort upgrades reduce fatigue. Safety features protect you in crashes. Everything else is ego, and ego is what gets older riders hurt. The question for every purchase is, does this make me safer, or does it just look cooler? If the answer is the latter, walk away. The right gear and technology only matter if the bike itself fits your aging body and your current riding reality. Aggressive riding positions load weight onto your wrists, strain your back, and cramp your neck. What felt sporty at 30 feels punishing at 60. That's not weakness, that's reality. Upright seating positions, natural arm angles, and relaxed leg positions reduce fatigue and let you ride longer without physical consequences. You are not fighting the bike's ergonomics for hours, and that means you arrive at your destination ready to enjoy it instead of needing to recover from it. Wind protection matters more than you think. Buffeting wind wears you down over miles, creating fatigue that accumulates until you are making mistakes you would not normally make. A good windscreen extends your comfortable riding range by hundreds of miles. It is not about looking like a touring rider. It is about actually being able to tour. Bikes like the BMW R1250 RT, Kawasaki Versys 1000, and Honda NT 1100 deliver comfort without sacrificing capability. You get the power and handling you want, with ergonomics that do not punish you for using them. Flat-footing at stops isn't vanity. It's confidence and stability when your balance isn't what it used to be. When you know you can get both feet firmly on the ground, you approach stops without anxiety. You're not worried about tipping over at a red light or struggling to hold the bike upright on an incline. Lower seats reduce knee strain and improve circulation on long rides. When your knees are bent at extreme angles, pressure builds in the joints. A lower seat typically allows for a more open leg position, which means less discomfort and better blood flow over hours in the saddle. Many manufacturers offer low seat kits or aftermarket options. 1 or 2 inches makes a massive difference in confidence and comfort. Companies like Corbin, Sargent, and Mustang create custom seats designed to lower seat height while maintaining or improving support. The test before buying is simple. Sit on it. Can you place both feet flat on the ground? Can you shift your weight from side to side without strain? Does mounting and dismounting feel natural? If any answer is no, walk away and find something that fits. Wrestling a 700-pound bike at slow speeds or after a drop becomes a genuine liability as muscles weaken. Your back, knees, and shoulders do not recover from that strain like they used to. Aim for a bike that weighs between 350 and 450 pounds. Models such as the Suzuki SV650, Kawasaki Versys 650, and Honda CB500X provide plenty of power for highway riding and touring, while remaining manageable in parking lots and at stops. Lighter bikes are more responsive and less fatiguing. They require less effort to change direction, which reduces the physical demand of riding twisty roads. They are easier to lift onto center stands for maintenance, and if you do drop one, getting it upright again does not require calling for help. The psychological benefit is confidence in handling the bike's weight, and that means you ride more relaxed. That relaxation translates to better decision-making and smoother control inputs. You are not tensing up at every stop sign or worrying about whether you can hold the bike steady. Electric bikes eliminate clutch work and shifting entirely. Instant torque, smooth delivery, zero maintenance headaches. You twist the throttle and go, with no gear hunting, no stalling at traffic lights, and no worrying about being in the right gear for a quick maneuver. Honda's DCT, dual clutch transmission, on the Africa Twin NT1100, and Goldwing shifts automatically, but allows manual control when you want engagement. The system is smooth and intelligent, choosing appropriate gears based on conditions and throttle input. Automatic or semi-automatic transmissions reduce physical fatigue and let you focus on the road instead of mechanical operations. The stigma around automatic motorcycles is fading as more riders recognize the practical benefits. These are not training wheels. They are intelligent tools for lifelong riders. All of this advice means nothing if you ignore the final, brutal reality of what a crash actually costs at your age. A crash at 60 is not just painful, it is a financial ambush on your retirement fund. The costs compound in ways younger riders never have to consider. Medical bills stack up fast. Emergency room visits, surgery, hospital stays, rehabilitation, and physical therapy are not covered at 100% by most insurance plans. You are looking at deductibles, copays, and out-of-pocket maximums that can hit $10,000 to $15,000 before insurance even kicks in fully. Then there are the extra necessities, walkers, braces, and modifications to your home for accessibility during recovery. Lost income multiplies the damage. If you are still working, how many weeks or months can you afford to miss? If you are self-employed or doing contract work, there is no paycheck at all during recovery. Even if you have disability insurance, it typically covers only a percentage of your income and takes weeks to start paying out. Long-term care costs become real possibilities. A serious crash can leave you with permanent mobility limitations that require ongoing assistance. Home health aides, modifications to vehicles, and accessibility upgrades drain savings that were supposed to fund your retirement, not your recovery. Your bike's resale value vanishes the moment it hits the pavement. Insurance might total it out, but you are still facing depreciation, deductibles, and the gap between what you owe and what they will pay. Then there is the cost of replacement, if you can even get insured again at reasonable rates. Insurance rates climb after crashes, especially for older riders. Actuaries know the statistics. Older riders face higher injury severity and longer recovery times, and they price policies accordingly. One crash can double your premiums or make you uninsurable entirely. Some carriers will not even write policies for riders over 65 with recent accident history. The actuarial truth that insurance companies understand, but most riders ignore, is this: the financial consequences of a crash at your age extend far beyond the immediate medical bills. They affect your retirement timeline, your family's financial security, and your quality of life for whatever years you have left. The question you need to answer honestly is, can I afford the consequences of a crash? Not just financially, but physically and emotionally. If the answer is no, then every decision you make about bike choice, gear, riding style, and route selection must account for this reality. Every ride carries risk. At your age, that risk has a price tag that can wipe out decades of careful financial planning. Ride smart now, or accept that the consequences of reckless riding will force you to stop riding later. Those are the only two options. The choice is binary. Make these changes or accept that your riding days are numbered. These aren't compromises, they are intelligent adaptations that let you ride for decades, not just years. Which of these changes have you already made? Which one are you resisting because ego won't let you admit you need it? Drop a comment and let me know. Subscribe so we can keep building a community of riders who refuse to quit.